All right, everybody, welcome back. This is Behind the Counter. I'm Rich Stambolian. That's Jonathan Adler.
Woo!
Let's do this.
Let's do it.
We haven't been around for 2 weeks. This is your one-stop comic book shop where you get to talk to two guys who have plenty of experience reading comics. And selling comics at one point in both of our illustrious careers.
And making comics.
We make comics, too.
I think this is our 103rd episode. I lost a little track there after our 100th. Was our 100th the last one we did?
It could be.
And then we just went out and partied. We had like a 3-week hangover.
I'm pretty sure. I think it's our first time we're coming back for it.
It might be it. All right, guys, welcome. I hope the chat room stuck around. We got a lot to talk about today. A lot of comic book stuff, a lot of comic book news, a lot of comic book reading and events. We're going to talk about Invincible. We're going to talk about Original Sin. We're going to talk Sin. We're going to talk about Forever Evil. We're going to talk a little bit about Batman.
What are we talking about Batman for?
I know, because it's cool.
Oh, cool. I thought I missed something.
A lot of spoilers this week. Because you sent me the list of news. And right off the bat, I everything I did the research on. Again, spoilers, man.
Which one?
Angela being spoiler alert. Angela being Thor's sister.
Yeah.
Come on.
That was at E2, C2, whatever the hell thing's called.
C2E2.
Yeah, that one.
The
one the same.
You know what? Like that started out as a game between two really big fanboys where they were like, "You see two, you eat two." And hot dogs, children.
That's what they do. I was kind of. I like the idea. Yeah. I like. They're supposedly they're doing such a focus on like the 9 worlds. There's gonna be a 10th world. Yeah. And the whole lore of Asgard, and that she's like the forgotten like bastard sister of like Loki and Thor.
Yeah, which makes sense because of the whole like the three mothers thing with Asgardia.
Yeah.
And all that. Fine, it's plausible. But you know what? Let me read it
before you tell me that. It's a pretty big reveal.
It's a huge reveal, and if you're doing Thor stuff, like Jason Aaron's writing God of Asgard, and it's fantastic. God of Thunder, and it's fantastic. It's
all right.
I love it. But I want that reveal to be there or in like a combination or something. And instead of like, oh, by the way, guys, guess
this is
what?
Happening.
I hate that, man. Why does it happen?
I don't think stuff like that I think was strictly for retailers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that was something that, because when we were retailers,
yeah,
we're sort of privy to certain things.
Right.
But I don't think that was supposed to really like be a mass market, everyone's supposed to know about this stuff.
Yeah. But it's dumb because it answers the reveal of why.
Yeah. And also, like, because I think they just want to sell the book that there's going to be a Thor, Guardians of the Galaxy, Loki crossover at some point.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. But that's also the thing, because the whole point of Original Sin right now is revealing secrets that you didn't know. And so we're slowly getting, like, all these spoilers for what is going to happen. But
yeah,
we hate the spoilers.
I know you like them.
I don't know.
Not for the most part, but, like, you're very good with, like...
I've calmed down with, like, looking for the news nowadays in terms of...
Okay.
What's going to happen and stuff like that.
That's good. You need a little something to look forward to.
Yeah, I don't mind reading solicitations, stuff like that. That gets me hyped out for the book, but I want as little information as possible. But I still want to be interested in it.
How are you feeling Original Sin?
I love it.
Yeah.
When I was reading the second issue this week, which I thought was awesome. Mm-hmm. I'm such a sucker for Marvel crossovers. I love when they start. I get amped up. I get hyped and I stay hyped. And I love. I think this is Aaron writing this one, right?
Yeah.
I love the characters he chose to write.
Yep.
I mean, you get Frank and Doctor Strange hanging out.
It's a really nice mix of crazy.
Yeah, like Gamora,
Moon Knight,
and Winter Soldier, and who's the other one?
Black Panther.
But wasn't there like another team up that was going on in this one too? Regardless, the choice of character, choices of focus on it is really cool. Really cool. And the reveal at the end was pretty awesome.
I like the.
I saw that coming though.
Did you?
Yeah, the orb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I saw it coming the page before, not the entire issue.
Well, the hood with the one hole in it was a giveaway.
I was like, who is it going to be? Who's it going to be? Who's got one eye?
Yeah.
Canafaria.
Yeah, I didn't see
Nick Fury
right in the middle.
But as soon as I got to that last page, I was like, "Oh, Jonathan probably loved this." The orb.
A little known fact is
why are you kicking me?
Little known fact is that Jason Aaron has put the orb in everything he's written.
Really?
Every single Marvel book, he's put the Orb in there somehow.
Big time, man.
Loves the Orb.
Make it big time.
And
I like it, man.
Orb is old school Ghost Rider people.
I love the fact that the mindless ones can't deal with. They're now like these weird existential beings that can't deal with their life.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, is everything about that story is pretty tight. It's at the heart of. See, the Marvel crossovers work very well when it has to deal with a mystery. I love that Identity Crisis because it dealt with a mystery at its heart. That's the good stuff. That keeps you coming back for more. This, as opposed to, say, like, Civil War and stuff like that, all you want to do is see who's going to die.
Yeah.
That's really up to is, like, who is the guy going to die? And they haven't done that in a while. Like, the last 2 or 3, I think there has been a death. The shortest one was Fear itself with Thor. He lasted half an issue.
I don't think you're gonna get a major one with this.
I think you're getting Nick Fury to die and come back as the Watcher. I think he's going to become like the Spectre of the universe.
All right,
I'm telling you, man.
I don't think he's gonna die. I think that's gonna be the end of it. You know.
Well, yeah, I think he's gonna fake his death or something, and he's gonna be somehow involved in this whole conspiracy, and then he's gonna end up being like the new Watcher,
which is awesome.
Not a big bald guy, but like being like the guy with like Watcher's eye.
Right. And on the moon.
On the moon.
Who better to look after everything than Nick Fury?
Exactly.
I really enjoy it. I'm pretty pumped to see what's going on. And Marvel does it right with the crossovers, man.
Like, I think so. They have a good track record.
Plus, they also have a good track record of consistency. Like, I read, and I'm sure you read it too, the last issue of Forever Evil.
Yeah.
Which I really like. I really thought it was
the best issue.
I was just going to say that. I think it was the strongest issue that they had.
But 7 months to lead up to this?
Exactly.
Well, almost
more
a year.
That, right.
Like almost a whole year waiting for this issue.
Right. And it
really was Forever Evil.
It was it was like, you know what? Like, I would love this more if this was monthly because it was a pretty fast-paced book. And this issue had a lot of cool stuff in it. It felt like old DC. And it felt it was like a cool like thing. And it was pretty brutal too, you know, like it was really violent, like surprisingly violent also. The whole Lex Luthor thing I love, but it gives me fan anxiety because I want to see them parlay that into more like better stories, you know, like more revealing stories, cooler stories. Because that was the first time you saw a Luthor-centric book since the relaunch.
But yeah, absolutely.
You know?
And putting some layers on the guy.
Right. And then going along with the relaunch is like one of the, I think your top news topic was, one of them, the 47 titles DC has canceled so far.
47 titles. So when we first started the show, we spent a good few weeks, about the first month, doing reviews on every single one of those crappy books. And now there was 52 of them. They've changed that number around a few times where, like, if they cancel something, they bring something in, which is not really the great way of doing business. I don't think 52 books can really survive with DC at this current state. But 47 titles being canceled, it feels like a lot.
Yeah.
And it's if once they hit that 52 mark, I think that's very telling of what this overall thing. A lot of people unhappy. A lot of people bouncing from the company.
Yeah.
Most notably Bob Wayne, who is the senior vice VP for since I think 1985. He's been working with the company. He bounced out. I read a news blurb. I was trying to find it before we came on air. He got into disagreement about something, about a handling of a certain book. Probably going to be Legions of Superheroes. I feel like that's what breaks up all marriages in DC.
I think so too, yeah.
But he was walking off a book, and now that he's gone, because he was the guy who basically said that as long as Joe Quesada and Bill Jemas are working for Marvel, there'll never be a Marvel DC crossover. With him out the gate, we could be leading up to something like that.
I would love to see that, you know.
It's good for everybody.
But, you know, I feel like you'd have to go old school. You know, I don't want to see New 52 DC team up with Marvel. I want to see classic DC.
Well, like we said, like Forever Evil will look like we're kind of going in that direction.
Yeah.
We had our beautiful. He's my favorite thing of seeing. I think yours also. I think you have a big boner for Alexander Luthor, and I think you also have a big boner for Anti-Monitor.
Yes.
Anti-Monitor is like, because you know, like,
you call him Anthony Monitor.
Anthony Monitor. Anthony Monticello. Ant, what's up? From Queens, destroys universes, hangs out with Psycho Pirate. It's part of the Union.
Very excited about that.
Yeah, because hopefully that means that we're just going to get a nice restart, or at least back to the old stuff.
But did they acknowledge the fact that the monitors existed? in the 52
Who
relaunch?
cares? No, screw that.
That's the first question. That was the first nerd question in my brain. Yeah.
I can. You know what? Like, he is better off not being sent. All that minor stuff, the stuff they did with like the post 52 stuff, like the original 52, with the multiple monitors of every universe. Stupid. Get out of here. Walk it off. Take it on the arches. Keep it anti-monitor. I know they're bringing back Psycho Pirate. That's probably the guy who's talking to him at the end of the show.
Good.
Because they show like preliminary sketches of the new Psycho Pirate. Hopefully we're getting to some type of fixing, because I don't know, 47 is a big number for a lot of for a new try,
right?
A new start.
Yeah, I think you're gonna get it. We always talk about it. Maybe oftentimes pray for it that you want.
3 years now, man.
It's so ridiculous.
Know what I also was kind of a little rubbed the wrong way at that issue of Forever Evil. So the probably the biggest thing in the book is that Lex Luthor figured out that Batman is Bruce Wayne by literally doing a Google search and looking at pictures of Dick Grayson and Bruce Wayne and go, oh, it's Batman
from the Hug.
From the Hug.
It was the Hug that did it.
The Hug? What do you mean?
When Dick Grayson got brought back to life, and Batman was like, "Hug them, love you."
Well, he knew there was a connect. He knew that there was some type of connection. But I mean, everyone. If you knew who Dick Grayson was in the DC universe, you did some research. You see, he lived with Bruce Wayne. This guy is Nightwing. It's not rocket surgery. It's not brain surgery. It's not rocket science or rocket surgery.
Yeah.
I think that more people probably should, pick up on the fact that Bruce Wayne is Batman at that point.
And they have Bruce Wayne and Batman both have beautiful cold eyes.
Cold eyes. Dead eyes.
Yeah, it's whatever. I feel like that's one of those things where yes, characters just like ignore it, or like later on you had the acknowledgement of like Superman saying like, when I'm Superman, I blur my face. I like move my face real quick, make sure people don't see my features.
Slouch.
Yeah.
Did you read the Justice League issue also that comes out like right after it?
No.
It was one of the better issues also because it was strictly like Luthor focused for the most part. And it basically ends with like him showing up at Batman's house and saying like, I want to speak to Batman.
That's cool. Yeah. I like the fact that
blackmail him.
Classic Cyborg's back.
Whatever.
That's fine.
I wish all cyborgs would just go away.
I really thought it was gonna be a dark side thing, but it would have been okay with.
No. I'm glad that when they said dark side, I'm like, oh, we have to rehash this crap again.
Anti-Monitor.
I
feel like the
Anti-Monitor.
I feel like the company is slowly steering away from Superman's wacky outfit.
Yeah.
They're making this thing like looser and looser.
Yeah.
It's gonna spread. It's gonna spread until like,
eventually.
It's gonna go back to the classic.
I hope so.
It's gonna grow onto it. I thought like. I thought when they all came out of Firestorm that
all their costumes would be fixed.
Right. Like he was going to have like the red underwears again and be like, oh, it happened in the guy's brain.
They acknowledge that he did wear red underwear at one point.
Okay.
Like in a recent issue. Like he's walking by an old photo of himself and he's like, oh, I had red underwear at one point.
That's me.
It's a much better costume.
Yeah, exactly.
Who would have thought?
This red Jim Lee belt's weird.
Jim Lee, everything is weird.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. But he seems like a really nice guy.
I'm very happy we're getting a Guardians 3000 book.
I know you are.
We're getting Guardians of the Galaxy, the original incarnation, getting its own book.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very psyched about that. What else? I'm psyched about the X-Men Avengers stuff. The Axis that Remender's writing, which seems like a culmination of the Uncanny Avengers stuff.
Yeah.
And we're also getting a time jump in New Avengers 8 months into the future.
I'm fine with that.
Because they're leading up to something with the New Avengers stuff, with like all the Illuminati crap, with there being some type of like critical mass when it comes to all these universes being destroyed by our Marvel guys.
This everything that's leading up, everything in the Avengers universe right now feels like the end of the first volume of Justice Society, when they went into the whole Gog and Magog thing about how every month you're just it's adding tons of layers to like this weird like overall history of it. I think it's on parallel with that. If not, it may be a little bit better.
I think it's better. I think it's some of the I think like I love Bendis when he set up the idea of the Illuminati, these clandestine guys like hanging around and making these big decisions.
Yeah.
But they weren't really doing anything that was really like, oh my God, so morally bad, except for meeting up.
Right.
Now that they're literally like universe destroyers to save our own universe, and they're all making compromises around the morality, like the fact that the main focus is Black Panther, which is the best written he's been since
forever,
years.
Yeah.
Who's the other guy that wrote Black Panther? Was really, really awesome. Charlie worked for BET.
Charlie Houston.
No, maybe it was that. I don't remember. Anyway, regardless, having his focus of being like the new eyes coming into this whole organization and having to bite his lip with the guy who like he's at war with Namor,
right?
And like their dynamic, it just really I think that's like one of the things I get most excited about the book. Doctor Strange selling his soul for more power.
Yeah. It's a dark book.
The Beast making compromises. Did you read that Avengers book from last week where they confronted Tony?
I did not.
Oh my god, what a book!
Yeah.
Do yourself a favor. Turn the lights down low.
And your night
with that. Turn it back up a little bit.
I'll put my nightlight.
Put a candle or something. Yeah. Great book, man.
Not my nightlight.
The candle holder.
This guy. Yeah.
You wear a long dress to bed.
For people don't know this, I live in a very rustic house, and I wear the full pajama.
He's like about Crane.
Yeah. I wear the flappy nightcap. I have the candle with the holder for my finger
at all times.
And during the day, I'm a blacksmith.
But only for horseshoes.
I'm a cobbler.
Yeah. It's more sensible. Yeah.
I'm a cobbler.
Good book. All the Avengers stuff is good. But it seems like there's going to be some type of like, between the time travel stuff, the breaking the universe, all the alternate reality stuff, really tight
I love it, man. Especially because like, I think if you, it's really crazy too, because this is the perfect time to do it. Because I feel like people are still, and kids and parents are still hot off the first Avengers movie, and they are just Avengers everything. Like Avengers, yeah, and like Avengers is there, they're there, and like for the first time I think in our lives, it's like it's such a dominant, like it happened, like an Avengers franchise got off the ground, and it's awesome.
It was a lot of work.
It was a whole lot of work, right?
I mean, we have to remember like there's a time when Marvel was strictly putting out Daredevil, Elektra, Ghost Rider movies, really like not taking too many chances, kind of making comic movies work in the handicaps of big budget filmmaking,
right?
Like making them just like your average, crappy whatever. But they created a great way of like it was a slow burn. You went through Iron Man, you went through Hulk, Captain America,
two Hulk movies,
and it was a slow build to establish all these different dudes and then bring them all together.
Right. And it was the right way to do it. It was the right way to do it because it seemed like, well, if this doesn't go anywhere, at least there's like this little nod here or like this little nod here. They're all good self-contained movies, But if it didn't happen, it didn't. Like if the big one didn't happen, it didn't happen, you know?
But everything was riding on that one.
Yeah, everything was riding on it, and Avengers was the biggest hit on the planet,
Everyone wants a piece of the pie.
Avengers 2 is going to be incredible.
Yeah.
And a big issue that we always talk about is like, where do you go from here? This year seems to be the biggest year for comic book movies.
So much.
Yeah.
Well, because of what Marvel has done and also DC with like the Batman stuff. Because Batman was always, an incredible draw for them.
Right.
That was their movie career. I don't talk about Christopher Reeve, right?
No, you don't.
The Avengers stuff was such a tentpole for the company and opened up so many doors to making not dumbed down superhero movies, be a little bit more serious, even especially Dark Knight. I mean, Dark Knight was, I think we wouldn't have had the Avengers quality that we had if it wasn't for Dark Knight making it to a point that it can exist in a real world and not just be cartoony dudes. They did the right thing. They made Captain America look good. And he was the toughest costume out there, and they built this lore.
Yeah.
And now, like, it seems like, and I was telling you before, I was reading an article on Grantland about how now your summers are built around all these comic book movies.
Yeah.
Because we don't have a problem with that. At least I don't. I don't know if you have a problem.
I don't have a problem with that either.
But we never had this choice. Like when I was a kid, we never had like, oh my god, like the chance of having it. We had, back then we had Captain America with the rubber ears and the weird Japanese Spider-Man stuff. But now everyone wants a piece of that pie. And if you see the structure of stuff like, Bryan Singer coming back to X-Men with Days of Future Past.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be a crap movie.
I kind of felt it the other day. I watched like a really long trailer and I was like,
it's gonna be crap. It's just like just missing it.
maybe this will be all right.
Oh yeah, Bobby did the same thing. He was talking about Quicksilver looked really good in motion. That like kind of sold it from.
I'm not going that far, Bobby.
But like you see, they're immediately creating a universe. Like they're trying to build like we've been with the X-Men guys already, but we want franchise. We want to be able to do a Gambit movie on top of this.
We want all the X-Men.
Hey, Channing Tatum is going to play Gambit, and then we're going to have a crossover with our Black Fantastic Four, and then like in Spider-Man, like Spider-Man 1, great. Everyone actually Spider-Man 1 was one of the more mixed. Amazing Spider-Man was like one of the more mixed reviewed things. But when 2 came out, I haven't seen it yet, but I know it's like they immediately want to start building that Spider-Man universe.
Right.
Sinister Six, they put 100 bad guys into the second one, and then now they just announced that Batman Superman is going to be called Batman v Superman: The Dawn of Justice, and we know the movie it's just a commercial for the Justice League movie.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to work as natural and well as the Marvel franchises. Yeah. Like you had to spend time with these guys.
Yeah.
All those introductions, like Captain America, they did the right thing.
Yeah.
It's the first really good origin story that you had for the guy. They handled it a great way. They handled the transition from the old World War II stuff to this.
Yeah.
You got introduced to Thor's world through human eyes. We knew how Hulk was because we saw 100 movies about him.
Exactly.
And then like the side characters and stuff like that. And it was real building.
Yeah.
And now we just have like all this stuff. And I think I hope, part of me hopes that none of this stuff works out for X-Men and for Spider-Man, just so they can rethink their choices
franchise.
and bring them all home.
Yeah, I agree with that. I want everything under one banner of the.
It's crazy, it's not.
I want the Avengers world, where you're getting this, you're getting all these movies tied together in some way. You're almost getting like serialized live action flicks that will be able to produce them quick. Because like think about it this way too, like your timeline for making movies with all the technology available to us is so much shorter.
Yeah.
You can make high quality flicks within a couple of years instead of
years and years
waiting like
3-4
6 years between movies or 4 years between movies. We're like your guys are clearly old. What they're doing with Hugh Jackman is honestly perfect. Because they did the right thing by having that dude constantly be Wolverine and everything,
Yeah.
And he gets the FaceTime, and you can see his age progression and everything. I think they're on the right track with having McAvoy and Fassbender immediately in this one, from the other X-Men movie. Is this movie going to do good? I'm sure it's going to do fantastic.
It's going to do great.
Is it going to be a good movie? Who knows? I want to walk out of the theater or get off my couch and go into another. I always take a walk after a movie just so I can talk about it. And I want to be able to be like, you know what? Like that movie friggin' rocked. I want to say that. I don't know if I am. I'm skeptical. You know why?
I'm very skeptical.
Because I'm ruined by the bombacity and awesomeness of the Avengers flick.
Yeah, man.
Something like that kind of sets the bar. And there's so many detractors for that movie that it's one of those things where you're like, you know what? Like we waited so long, just shut up and enjoy it, and it was a good flick. Who cares about this? Who cares about that? My inconsistencies, whatever. You know what? I got to see the Avengers in a friggin' movie, fighting giant space.
You got to see Captain America throw a shield around. You got to see Hulk punch out something like really awesome.
Right.
You got all the fixins of good comic book stuff.
Right.
On your screen.
Superman, Batman. I have a little faith. I have faith
in that movie.
in Zack Snyder because of Man of Steel.
But the only thing that I feel like the weight of the Justice League stuff could like really damage that. I think if it was, it depends. We haven't seen the movie yet. It depends on how much time they spent with everyone else. But I know that like Wonder Woman's part of it, and Aquaman's part of it, and stuff like that. What?
I just think if in my head there's a right way to do it, and then there's a completely wrong way to do it, and I feel like because of studio pressure, it might.
That's what I think. Yeah,
it's gonna be like the wrong way where it's Superman let's say Superman being Superman for a while. It's an aged Batman, right? At this point, or is it still?
By the way, the costume looks awesome.
I like the costume.
Costume is.
Do you like his sad chin?
I mean, I can't see it enough. I like the fact that it's got folds in it and everything.
I like the meme that came out of Batmobile. Looks awesome too.
It does.
Batmobile
always looks good. Eyes.
But there's that whole question of like, is this guy gonna be a good? Is this guy gonna be a good Batman?
I don't think so.
Because there's gonna be the scene like in Batman Returns. I think it was Batman Returns where he rips his cowl off.
Yeah,
and
looks weird.
It's Ben Affleck.
Yeah. Well, they did the same thing for Michael Keaton. Like,
right,
Batman looked awesome. Like, wow, look at this Batman. And then he does that thing where he rips, in the first one where he rips it off to show Vicky Vale.
I think that's what I'm thinking of.
And it's like weird Michael Keaton head.
Yeah.
The same thing with a lot of the other guys because they had the weird neck thing.
Right.
I think I can't take Ben Affleck seriously as Batman. Like he is always going to be like the weird dude from and even to a lesser extent like the weird guy who is just like with Matt Damon. Like he's like these two guys. I can't see this dude as being like Batman, but hopefully I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think the weight of like the studio pressure to like you need to make a franchise out of this. We can't just the bread and butter can't not just be Superman, Batman.
Yeah,
we need to the black kids love Cyborg. Just make sure that Cyborg movie's out there.
Yeah, the way to do it appropriately, I feel, make the movie a little longer and throw in little nods here and there where Superman's telling a story or he's talking to Batman or whatever, and the whole thing is like throughout their journeys, they've met these other
goons and stuff like that.
Goons and stuff, but like they've met these individuals with unique powers. Like Superman and. I met a guy that ran really fast.
You know what it is? I know what you're saying. I know your heart's in the right place for it. But it sounds like the Smallville shit. It feels like that's exactly what they did on that.
They're gonna
show.
Speed it up for it to be the movie
like
where
everyone's got costumes.
Guy who runs fast. But you know what the thing is like.
Did you watch a trailer for the Flash TV show?
No. Look good.
The first teaser was after the Green Arrow finale, and it was like Green Arrow in like a big field, and he's shooting arrows, and then like Flash runs over and he catches it. He's like, "Woo, fast!" And then like Green Arrow's like, he starts pulling out 3 arrows, and like Flash like, "Ooh, this is a challenge."
Is the Flash a sassy black lady?
Can't get a Dusty
or Dusty Rhodes?
I can't get a Dusty on it. And then they showed a longer one with him finding like Weather Wizard, and like they show the guy who's gonna they show like a crippled guy who's like the scientist he works with. Like, oh, okay, that guy's gonna be Reverse Flash eventually.
I feel like I keep hearing great things about Arrow. Like, sit through the first 10 episodes, and then the rest is pretty good.
Well, I mean, if you got to a point where you can put the entire Suicide Squad on the show, it says something for it. I think it's probably better than Smallville, but I think Gotham is gonna be a piece of garbage.
Okay,
but I'm still gonna watch the hell out of it.
Well, yeah.
I think TV is really hard with this genre.
Yes.
I don't think they've really figured out how to work it out, and S.H.I.E.L.D. is a big example of that.
People love that show, man.
People hate that show more than anything.
I've overheard conversations in different places of people who love that show.
And I think that's the people who came out of Captain America and went to like the next week watch S.H.I.E.L.D. and like you're knee deep in a continuation of like the Hydra stuff from Captain America. But that show should have been a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Like, that was the type of show that when like you do fantasy booking for like comic book movies, like, and like you do a Captain America movie, do this, and then you have like a S.H.I.E.L.D. show, and it's like that way you get to interact with like B-level characters and you see the outskirts of the Marvel Universe. It's
Frank
none
Castle,
of that. None of that. They didn't do any of that stuff. And reviewers are saying that the problem with the show is that it isn't accessible enough.
Right.
How can it not be accessible enough? It's like the plainest piece of shit I've seen in a long time.
Yeah. It's I don't know. I think it's it's not. It's almost like SVU or Law and Order,
same shit,
but it's not at the same time. That's why I feel like the disconnect comes from. You can watch it. You can watch like SVU, and you can watch an episode and be like, I have no idea who these people are, but I get it. I think that's the thing with the S.H.I.E.L.D., especially with relating to like people who are non-comic book fans, where you want that accessibility of being like, hey, I watched that episode of the S.H.I.E.L.D. Not bad.
Yeah.
They introduced a guy who had iron fists. Or whatever, or a Moon Knight.
Yeah.
But they won't do that. Yeah. They want weird shit.
Well, I'm more excited about the Netflix deal with like the the Alias show and the Luke Cage and the Iron Fist show and stuff like that.
I want it all. I really got to check out like Arrow.
I would think I'm kind of on the tipping point at this point too, where it's like, you know what, it's I don't want to say the hype is getting to me, but some things I see, like the Suicide Squad was kind of like the thing for me that kind of. I'm such a Suicide Squad fan.
Yeah, I think also because like we're very particular. Both of us too have that in common, is that we're very particular about
our entertainment.
Our entertainment as far as like comic book franchises go. And I feel like we'd rather watch something and have it be good as opposed to just watching it because we're fans.
Yeah.
You know, like I love Superman. I've never watched an episode. The only thing I've watched about Smallville, I watched half of an episode, didn't like it. I kept tuning in every so often, still didn't like it. And then I watched the 2-hour Justice Society movie.
Which was awesome.
Yeah, you know, because you got
this cosplay.
Yeah, you have Hawkman and Stargirl, you know, and new Dr. Fate stuff and, you know, Golden Age Sandman stuff. That was great. As far as the Superman Batman movie goes, I think you're going to get some of that weird stuff. And I think one of the moments in the movie which makes sense, like movie-wise, is a big thing with comic book movies is an explanation of the outfit to not make it, if you notice that, to not make it seem cheesy or like, I did this myself, because everybody's a seamstress, right?
Well, because Superman and Batman, you have it done. You're easy peasy.
Batman makes everybody's costume.
That makes sense.
You know,
everyone looks like Batman.
Here's the
entire Justice League all those bad years.
That's how they're gonna have him look like the new 52 guys. Batman creates the segmented Flash body armor. Aquaman stuff.
Well, I mean, there's a TV show with the Flash. Like that's the thing we don't know is like, are they gonna incorporate Green Arrow and Flash into this stuff? And they probably will.
Yeah, they should.
And he kind of like they didn't show like when in the longer trailer they didn't show it doing that, but it looks like that's what it does do. It does, you know, kind of fold over him as opposed to like the floppy costume.
It's not him with a red hoodie and red sweatpants.
No,
I watched that.
I think the beginning of it is, but they literally like a dude builds a costume. It's like this thing is I designed this just for the hell of it, and you can have it now. Dude.
Is it Barry?
Yeah, it's Barry.
Yeah. Are they going with forensics lab experiment?
All the stuff that you read,
gone wrong.
It's all Rebirth. It's all like the stuff with his mom like being murdered by Reverse Flash and like that stuff, and him being, you know, working with I think like Jimmy Smith or something on the show.
Oh yeah,
as a cop, not Jimmy Smith. Don't put your. I think it's like I don't remember who it was. It was a well-known like cop dude. Anyway,
Chickless,
something like that.
Love that.
I don't know. I could see them like I think Wonder Woman gonna introduce is like they're like the old school Diana Prince stuff with like her being like a rich mogul who happens to also be a princess, and then like. You know, so they'll show like a fisherman like falling off a boat, and this guy with orange armor coming out of the water.
Hello.
You know, they'll show like, you know, I think it'll be like a lot of side crap like that, and like I think Wonder Woman will be involved in like the final battle or something. And
okay,
I hope. I mean, I just hope it's just not like during the whole movie you see like Argus working to assemble like this team. Like I heard there's a fishman out there.
There's a fishman out there.
And a boy with cybernetic legs.
I want Martian Manhunter, man. I think I want that. You know what I want the reveal to be? Because
Batman has been Martian Manhunter the whole time.
That's the thing with this flick is that everybody's just talking about it and the casting and, you know, who's going to be in it. But I want what's the threat going to be in this movie? Because again, Zack Snyder did a phenomenal job with having Zod and, you know, the Phantom Zone criminals in the Man of Steel.
But that's the go-to thing for Superman movies that make it cool.
But you saw him. Yeah. You saw him in action.
Yeah.
You saw Superman actually fight somebody and just like kill people and go freaking crazy and use like his power set. And the tough thing with this flick is you have Batman needs to fight somebody, Superman needs to fight somebody. They need to fight each other, right? They need to figure out who's on the Justice League and like who are they going up against?
Who's the big threat? I think it's all it is leading up to Darkseid stuff.
Okay.
I think it's going to be exact same, you know, New 52 storyline where they're uniting for like a Darkseid thing, and the movie will end with a cliffhanger of like Darkseid showing up and like the Justice League staying there like dicks
from like a different planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, I think the probably the story is going to be Superman. And this is all speculation. We don't know. I think Superman is going to like find out about this vigilante dude who's been running around. He's going to try and intervene with him. And then Batman is like, he's got his spy satellite and he's watching Superman do stuff.
Lex Luthor also.
Is he in this?
You gotta.
I don't think he is.
You know. But
Alfred's glove is going to be in the movie.
Multi-billionaire playboy Bruce Wayne needs the foil of Luthor.
Yeah.
You need battle armor Luthor.
Yeah.
Alfred's white glove handing Bruce Wayne the note.
You've been called.
You've been summoned by
the Justice League people.
The Dawn of Justice.
Whoever the Dawn of Justice people
are. And you need like, I don't know, like and when's the movie coming out? 2015? It's coming out next year.
Yeah.
I want more.
Yeah. It was nothing.
I want confirmations.
DC can't afford it, man.
If they said like if they presented me with a trailer that's just all black, I'd be fine with that, and then I'll go watch the movie and I'd want to be blown away by everything.
Well, they just had the press conference where we got the name from, and they got like some name dropping on like people who are in the movie but aren't cast as they don't say what they're cast as. So we're getting the ball, and I think principal photography starts in like a month or two. So I think we're gonna start getting like the spy photos and all the crap and
Catwoman. Catwoman's gonna be played by Jennifer Lopez.
Boy, they could totally screw this up. Like this is
right. Yeah,
this could like that's the thing is that's kind of depressing about this because Superman, I love the hell out of it.
Yeah.
And like I think Zack Snyder has a good idea of how to make a good superhero movie. I think like this could really just screw the whole thing up. Like this is really gonna like he could so drop the ball because he signed on for Justice League also.
I wish the movie was directed by Zack Snyder.
Did I say Zack Snyder?
Yeah.
Sick.
All right,
what's
Superman.
his name? What's his name?
Zack Snyder.
Zack Snyder.
Superman. You stand there and you go like this, and you're like woo woo. That's what I want. I'd love that.
I can see that.
But you know what? Like you're 100% right, and there's that fan anxiety that we talk about. I feel like this movie. Forget X-Men is your 2.5. X-Men is your 5.0 earthquake in terms of like fan anxiety. Maybe like a 4.0 where you're like, you know what? Like this might tip the scales in like a comic book movie thing going towards critical mass, like what we're saying. I feel like Batman Superman has the potential to be the 8.0 on the you just destroyed.
What's Batman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you just destroyed like it and it would be history. This could be the Ragnarok of comic book movies where this is coming in at the end. This is the movie's coming out between franchise flicks, right?
It was supposed to go up against Captain America 3.
Right. Okay.
And then Captain America 2 came out and made an astronomical amount of money for like a month and a half.
Right.
Which is it's so deserving. And they're like, you know what? We're not going to be the big dogs. We're going to step down and up against, a Tyler Perry movie.
Right. That's fine. That's great. It's a good move. But I also feel like there's so much hinging on that particular movie because it's such a big franchise that it could reach critical mass with it, as far as like maybe Hollywood will stay away from comic book movies for a while.
Yeah. I mean, that's the fear that you have since day one of comic book movies. I'm surprised they didn't close the doors after like all the crap they used to put out.
Elektra.
Yeah, all like that. They should have, it was a real show of faith of them setting up Marvel Studios and putting everything in the right direction.
Yeah.
Very, very lucky.
I'll agree with that too because you had like
those never happened with that Robert Downey Jr. either.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Those Ghost Rider movies are terrible. That Green Lantern movie was terrible.
Oh my god.
I feel like I'll
never forget that movie.
There's a lot more terrible movies that have come out in the last 10 years that were comic book related. X-Men 3 was terrible. But like Guardians looks like it's going to be great. Let's say
Guardians I think is going to be like the sleeper. I think that's going to be a huge crossover success because the trailers are so well cut.
Yeah. Let's say X-Men 4 is fantastic. Let's say what other flicks are coming out this year?
Batman, Superman, we're leading up to
within a year.
Within a year?
You're getting Batman, Superman next year.
Avengers comes out next year. I don't know what's on slate for Thor? Like
Thor 3?
Thor 2 sucked.
I like Thor 2.
I figured out why I don't like Thor 2.
Did you finish watching it?
No. I'll never finish. You know why I don't like Thor 2? I think the intro of Thor was perfect, like the Natalie Portman stuff and like the real world stuff. I don't like it because I think you spend too much time with her. I think you spend so much time like, the human element and like, I date Thor. I want to meet Thor. And then like the Star Wars, like her doing like Princess Padme all over again. On the balcony and the way it looks so Star Wars. I think there's an overall just dumbness to that movie.
Okay. Finish watching it first.
No.
It's pretty good.
I don't know. I haven't heard any. You're the only person that said anything really nice about that movie.
Who have you been talking to?
Street people, mostly homeless people who I give a DVD copy to.
Was this like GTA? Just hearing street noise as you walk through the street.
Ambient noise comes around me and I just hear all that stuff.
What else we got? What else we talking about? Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
I took the train with a guy who looked like Walter White yesterday.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
He was dying of cancer.
No, he wasn't bald. He had the he's like an age like a 10 years plus Walter White. but just same demeanor, same clothing, same everything. I feel like it had something
Same
to
wrinkles.
do with. Yeah. Oh
Same
yeah.
folds.
Yeah. Same wrinkles in the face. He was a little skinnier, but shirt tucked in to trousers. Crazy. Like Game of Thrones. How you feeling about this?
I think they had 2 of the worst episodes they've had in a long time.
Really?
Not the last 2. The 2 episodes before those.
Okay.
Like Jon Snow was coming back to the to Cracer's Keep. There's cool stuff in it.
Yeah.
But it was the stuff that diverged from the book and it threw me off.
I wanted to ask you about that on the air too. Like, as a fan of the book, do you feel like it's getting a little too much away from the book?
I have the most anxiety I've had so far watching that show this season because this was the most divergent from the books for the most part. But a lot of stuff has been improved. There's 2 issues, like all the stuff with Bran possibly meeting Jon Snow never happened, like all that stuff. It just never happened in the book, and it just felt weird. But overall, what I'm most afraid about is like stuff like Theon. Theon stuff doesn't happen until book 5, and they're doing it now, and we don't even have a book 6 yet. So I feel, and like the Brienne stuff, like with her being on the road, doesn't happen until like book 4 and 5. So I feel like they're at a point where they're running out of story. I don't want like the stuff with when they show like the baby with the others, like that's never been shown before and anything. So I feel like they know stuff and they're going to start spoiling a lot of the stuff that's going to happen in the book and start making their own story around it. I think it's going to start really going away from like how Walking Dead went away from the comic book. I feel like this is going in the same direction.
Okay.
I hope not.
So it's giving you a little bit of anxiety.
Anxiety just because I don't want them to run out of stories.
A little agita.
A lot of agita.
Now let me ask you this. I lost it. I had it. It was
how much does Oberyn Martell look like a young Burt Reynolds?
Oh my god.
Very much so.
He looks like a Burt Reynolds fused with a sweaty Antonio Banderas.
Isn't he great?
Yeah, he's amazing. Now, as far as the books go, is Brienne teamed up with Podrick?
Yeah, different circumstances.
Okay.
Because a lot of it is timing. Like the way it worked out was after the Red Wedding and everything like that, and like Joffrey's wedding, Brienne and Jaime hadn't even arrived to King's Landing. He hasn't arrived till after Joffrey's dead.
Okay.
So like the timing is weird. You're seeing different reactions. Like you never like there was no Tyrion, like really any Tyrion Jaime interactions or any of that stuff. Like so you get to see stuff that you didn't really go with that you see in the book. But the Brienne Pod stuff is, I think like he just bounces from King's Landing once Tyrion gets locked up because he's terrified, and she runs onto him on the road and they team up.
Is there a theory that Pod could actually be Baratheon's kid?
No.
Okay.
No. Pod is the nephew to the executioner, Ilan Payne, the guy with no tongue.
Okay.
There's no reveal. At least to my knowledge, there's no real reveal with him coming.
Yeah.
He's a cool character.
Is there a time slated for book 6?
No. My gut is telling me early 2015.
Never.
I think the pressure's on him to catch up, and I think the book has been done for a while. It's under editing.
Yeah.
Right now.
I'll never finish it.
I mean, he put out a short story this year, which was friggin' incredible.
Yeah.
That was all Game of Thrones stuff, and now he's putting out a World of Ice and Fire, like big like encyclopedia thing, which has all these like stories from the history. I'm excited about, but I want the book.
That's interesting, man. That's interesting that it's kind of like taking a loopy turn. And speaking of Walking Dead, man, did you like that big revealing episode?
What the issue
with the issue?
Not TV show.
Sorry.
Absolutely one of the greatest issues they've done.
I agree with you completely. Do you think it was a conscious effort to make Rick look like either A, a skinny Robert Kirkman, or B, Daniel Bryan?
Daniel Bryan. I'm gonna go with Daniel Bryan. I could see him being a closet wrestling fan.
Yeah.
It's tight. I think it was great shift for the book. I like the time jump. It did exactly what it's supposed to do and put more air into the sails for this book. I love it. It became a Western all of a sudden.
It did.
And I like Rick becoming like this archetypal, like benevolent leader at this point. Like he's got the cane, he can't operate the way they did, the hook hand.
I really love the issue, but it became very Star Wars to me. Like that issue. It's Luke trying to get to Tashi Station from like A New Hope, basically saying like, "Come on, I'm old enough. Like it's right. Like all my friends are there."
Oh, Carl stuff.
Yeah,
yeah, but Carl stuff is so much darker because you've been talking to Negan for the last few years.
But it's almost the same thing where like Rick is almost in that benevolent Uncle Owen stage of like, "Well, I need you to help with the farm work. How are we gonna the crops and stuff? Crops."
Yeah,
and then I think Rick's gonna bite it.
Yeah, I think that he's at a point since he can't fight anymore. I think that it's reaching a point where you could, take him off the book at some point.
Yeah,
because he's not going to be an active player and all that stuff. Like he looks ragged, man. Yeah. You spent three pages showing this guy suit up in his like gear, which is awesome. Like everything about that, like the detail level of the art, Jesus Samurai is awesome. Yeah. Like all the stuff that it's one of those issues that the book needed, in my opinion. As much as I love the war stuff, this is a great payoff for the book.
And it's also awesome that to come up with the whole driving the herd of zombies.
That's an awesome idea
in like a different direction.
They're all cowboys, man.
Yeah,
like it's awesome because now you're treating the book like it's an American frontier.
Yeah,
you have this idea of like now we need to build society. They have like 4 properties now,
right,
spread out. They're becoming like the established, experienced, rooted people that they should have been a long time ago.
I think like where do you go from there? I think one army's gonna show up.
That's what I was thinking too. Is eventually you're gonna get see what the military's been up to this whole time.
Like those survivors.
Yeah,
like the guys who are just gonna roll over everything with their
the 28 days later guys.
Yeah, and they're gonna reappropriate like
all this stuff.
Yeah. I also think which may lead to Rick's death or imprisonment or whatever. And I also feel like we're gonna get Carl Negan team up.
Yeah, Well, the Negan stuff, he's one of the most fascinating characters out of everything because he's not an insane dude,
right?
Like he does like the fact that he was broken and he was, a pretty like this is what I need to do to live here. He wasn't a governor where he was sadistic to the point like I want to hurt you because he wants to hurt you because he wants you to be afraid of him because he's the boss and that's the way that it has to work.
Yeah.
And now his relationship with Carl and like how weird it is and the fact that this guy's been locked up is awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's doing all the right things. I hope this is the path. I feel like a lot of this last year has been building up to this and obviously, but I think this is like what he's been really waiting to tell us.
What's the time jump? 2 years?
He said in the layers column, I think it was like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I'll go
if even
3.
less. It might be actually less than that.
Yeah,
he said like a definitive number. I don't remember what it was.
I really liked it. I really think it's going the Star Wars route with Negan. Negan's gonna be Obi-Wan.
Yeah, you think? I got a tip my own hat to my own Jezebel. When he first premiered, I was like, I really for some reason I think he's gonna be on the same side as Rick eventually. They're giving this guy so much character.
Yeah.
They're giving him they're giving him such a voice, and he's not gonna be a guy who they just off.
Right, he's not a throwaway villain. I'm really really excited about the book again. Because it was like it was touch and go a little bit with like, come on. Well,
because I think the only thing we were really looking forward to at that point, not that the book was bad, but I think you need big moments in a book,
right?
Especially for something that's been going on this long, and you need to keep it fresh. I think we were a little burned out after, what's his name died, Glenn.
Yeah,
because we were waiting for the next big death, the next the next milestone. We're like, yes, what's gonna happen? Who's gonna die? I think we're burned out on that being the big thing. Like the big thing you're leading up to is just a death.
It took a very long time to get there because that happened. I want to say almost 2 years ago.
Well, no, it's about a year. Because they released 2 issues a month for this thing, but just about that.
Yeah, like time wise between.
Time-wise, yeah.
Like it, like for us, it was like about like 2 years. I want to say, but within the book, it was the books at some point would come out like twice a month or like once every 2 months. But let's talk about that Invincible before we wrap up, man.
Tremendous.
I have always read it. I love Invincible. It's one of my favorite books every month. It's always been top 5 upper echelon comic books.
Also written by Kirkman.
And I also feel like it's so it's still like an almost indie book. It's like it's whatever Savage Dragon did right to the millionth degree,
It's a good way of putting it.
And it's all I also never see like real like big. I know there's like a lot of people who are devoted to the book, but it never crosses over into like this is one of the books that you have to be reading.
For a short time, it did. When it first launched, and you got to the big stuff like the Overman, Invincible fight.
Yeah.
And I saw how shocking and bloody the book became was like, that's when there was a lot more talk. When the trades are first being released and you can hand a guy a trade, there were people were into it.
Right.
But you're right. You never Walking Dead.
Oh, right. Which I think a lot of people forget. It's like it's the same dude who writes other things.
Yeah.
But I've always went from trade to trade to trade to trade, and this is the first time that I actually picked up the last 3 issues that came out.
I was ranting and raving about the newest issue.
Right, because the newest issue took that violence and took like the shock to, I think, the furthest it's been in the book.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think I felt the most anxiety I did in a long time reading that book. They made a joke in the letters page saying like, we welcome our new writer, Robert Kirkman of The Walking Dead, meaning that, his style of anyone can die, anything can happen in this book. It's going to be brutal as all hell.
Right.
The emotional roller coaster. He's moving that on over to Invincible, which I don't think it's been lacking in, but I think this has been it's an awesome culmination of where you've brought these characters and establishes again like why Invincible works so well, because you've created a superhero universe that you literally can do anything with.
Right, exactly.
Anything can happen.
And like the fact that but everything is so perfectly constructed.
Great story arcs. Every story arc is great.
And he's been juggling a lot of what's happening now since the very first few issues, And there's going to be some spoilers if you guys haven't read the last few issues of Invincible or haven't even picked up the book. But, like you went from the character arc of Invincible.
Superboy.
He's Superboy, who's the son of, let's say, the son of Superman.
Yeah.
Who basically tried to take over the world, kill everybody.
Yeah, he was a sleeper agent who was part, like if the Kryptonians were still around and you were grooming Earth to be
Krypton.
Yeah.
Disappeared. He becomes the world's greatest like hero, essentially. He becomes like their Superboy, Superman. Starts working for the government, finds love. Like all this crazy stuff happens to him. There's clones from different dimensions, like all like his race of people, the Viltrumites exist.
The robot.
Plan dimensionally. There's
Robot is a fascinating story.
Right, Robot's a fascinating story. Who was...
You thought he was a bad guy when he first premiered because he looked so sinister. Yeah. Basically, he was a dude who was like the smartest guy in the world.
And he was a kid, right?
He was a kid. He was a regular. He was like a little kid who made himself look like an adult. He was a superior intellect in the whole nine. And him and this other girl, Monster Girl, went to another universe where they became rulers. But time moved differently. They aged slightly. Like they think they're like their 20s now, but they've been there for thousands of years.
10,000 years.
10,000 years, something like that. Yeah. And so like
no, I'm sorry, 1,000.
1,000 years. And that so it's changed both of them. And they came and they touched on it. They had a kid together that becomes a villain, and there's big stuff that came out of it. But you never got to the point that you thought it was going. Like you knew something was weird with Robot.
Yeah.
But they constructed like one of the best backstabs I've seen in a long time.
Which is a very complicated backstab. It's too complicated to get into on air.
Yeah.
But it's one of the greatest comic book backstabs ever because for the last I want to say 15 or 20 issues, it's Invincible trying to pick up the pieces of his life and the stuff that his father left behind and the
going to different dimensions and crap and
fighting like the last of like this race of people that were destined to rule the earth, and he's trying to right everything. And I think the whole arc started with dinosaurs.
Yeah, like the killing of Vegas, with turning it to glass.
Yeah, and him trying to rehab this villain and trying to actually talk to villains.
The greater good.
Yeah, the greater good and all that. And Angstrom Levy, who was a villain from I think the first or second story arc. Yeah. Really, really, really insane, interesting stuff.
Big universe.
Big universe. And literally, it's across the universe. It's interdimensional at this point. Like you said, anything can happen. But the brutality of this last issue and just, the shocking moments of, you've seen him basically be beat. You've seen Invincible almost beaten to death. You've seen him die and come back, lose his powers. Anything has happened to him. But I think the fact that now his pregnant girlfriend that he hasn't seen in 6 months.
She broke up with him,
gets mutilated, still has to save the baby. He's
his best friend, his mentor for the most part is brutally murdered in front of him.
Right.
His confidant in Robot is over.
And who has a contingency plan for everything. I feel like next issue, his dad, Omni-Man.
Omni-Man.
I think he's gonna bite it.
I hope not. He's a great character.
I think the mom's gonna bite it too.
Yeah, I think this.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see everything possibly go wrong with this. It's a great plan of actually bringing in, like, since he can make an army of robots, he can make he can bring all this army of his race over. You know, like all the Superman dudes,
right?
Vitolomites or something like that.
Vultramites
or something like that.
I think that's gonna play into it. I also think the
and he got raped.
Right, the lady who like super raped him, which is really nuts, man.
It's before this issue, which is all violence, pretty much.
Yeah.
The issue before that, he's just flying, like Invincible just got broken up by his girlfriend, and he's flying around. This one of a female version of his race comes out. We need to breed, and like she rapes him.
Yeah.
And like it's screwed up, and then he comes home, and then there's more murder.
Right. Yeah.
It's just really.
I think she's gonna save the day.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What, the raper?
Yeah.
Why?
I think she's going to come and save him.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think they're just going to... Where I think it's going to be going is probably a baby being produced from this, obviously, of some sort. But I don't know how.
Baby's going to save the day.
The future baby.
I also really liked when you saw... I think it was a couple issues prior when in the other dimension where you see... Monster Girl was a baby because she ages in reverse.
Yeah.
So she's a baby at this point, and
she's super powerful.
And she's like Godzilla.
Yeah.
So like that was really cool. You know how like they dropped her from midair and she turns into like a giant Godzilla. You know. Speaking of which, did you see Godzilla?
Not yet. Yeah, I have to do Spider-Man first.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to see X-Men probably.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see Godzilla.
Yeah.
I definitely want to see Godzilla. I heard a lot of good things about it.
Yeah. Bryan Cranston, man.
Cranston.
All right, let's wrap this up. This has been another episode of Behind the Counter. I'm Rich Stambolian.
I'm the other guy.
Good night.